addressing the Middle East crisis.
As
Adventists, that is not a concern to Adventists. So we have to find a way to make them realize that the Middle East crisis is more important than looking at the Pope, because all they do is look on the Pope.
Nomba ifo kulingana n'embira ya panstefio ili tulelolekesha kuli Middle East crisis pantu kulolesha pali Middle East amafa yaliko chikankalo kuchiro kulolesha kuli Pope.
We're getting hook up here. We forget that hook up. We're going to first look at Matthew 6,
Matthew chapter 6,
verse 9.
Verse 9.
It says there, after this manner, therefore pray ye, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Ero kabiri ufa bwenu buchitike ifyo chaba kumupano chalo ngefo chaba kumuru.
Now we have been praying this prayer all the time.
Nomba tulapepeli pepo ishi kushonse.
Everybody praying this prayer.
Wonse fye tulapepeli pepo.
But where is your mind?
Nga amano yenu yabakwi.
When you say thy kingdom come,
yo mwatiro kwa tufu mubwenu bwisi.
Thy will be done in heaven.
Kai ufa bwenu buchitike mumuru.
Pardon me, thy will be done on earth. As in heaven. So our minds are basically in heaven. But the Lord is here saying that there's a kingdom to come on earth. And on earth, God's will be done. So we've been praying this prayer all the time, not understanding what we're praying for. So I'm going to turn to Acts chapter 1. Acts 1 verse 1. Acts 1 verse 3 and 4.
Acts 1 verse 1, Acts 1 verse 3 and 4.
To whom also he showed himself alive after his passion by many infallible proofs, being seen of them 40 days. And speaking of things pertaining to the kingdom of God. So Jesus, after he rose from the dead, he returned to earth and spent 40 days, over a month, on earth with the disciples.
1 month, 10 days.
But most people would not recognize that existed. You know, just believe that Jesus Christ went to heaven and that's it. But he returned and was with the disciples for 40 days. And they were discussing what? They were discussing the kingdom of God. Were they discussing the earth made new? Were they discussing the 1,000 years in heaven? What were they discussing? That is a big concern. But verse 6. Verse 6 identify what they were talking about.
Verse 6
When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom of Israel? And he said unto them, it is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power.
Ali aswike n'okubeba ati tekyenu imwe ukwishiba inshita iyo leso mwine abika mumaka yakwe.
So the issue was the restoration of Israel.
Lelo ikiri ashiri alipo lyali kubukurusha kwa Israeli.
So the disciples were concerned.
Lelo abasambi bali posa kona bwamano ko bati beshibe.
You died.
Walifwa.
We were very sad.
Wali umfobulanda.
Now you return.
Nomba mwabwela.
Alive.
Muri abamweo.
Are you not going to restore Israel?
Nomba urumwabwela nomba tamwabukurusha Israeli.
But what are they talking about?
Nomba finche fo balela ndapo.
So we're going to go into some depth to find out what were they discussing. Why was this question made? That's the big question. Why was this question asked? Now that will take us over to Micah 6. Micah 6 verse 1 to 4.
Micah 6 verse 1 kufika ku 4.
Hear ye now what the Lord saith, arise, contend before the mountains, and let the hills hear thy voice.
Imeni nomba efyolesa omwine alanda imeni nokuya kulupiri ukwe bati bamushimikire kulupiri bako bati nempiri shumfwe ishuwi lyakwe.
Hear your mountains, the Lord's controversy, and ye strong foundations of the earth. For the Lord hath a controversy with his people, and he will plead with Israel.
Umfwe nimwe mpiri ubuafya nangulo uchimfurunganya chwakwete lesa nakwata uchimfurunganya na bantu bakwabe na Israeli kabiri alakwata ukupapata pamwe na bantu ba Israeli.
So this verse in Malachi is saying that the Lord has a controversy with his church. And this is to become an international issue. Hear your mountains and hills. There's a controversy going on in my church. So we're going to find out now, what is the controversy within the Adventist church? What is the concern? So the Lord take us back. In verse 3 and 4. Oh, my people, what have I done unto thee, and wherein have I wearied thee? Testify against me. For I brought thee up out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed thee out of the house of servants, and I sent unto thee, and I sent before thee Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. So the question we're trying to understand, what does this in Micah has to do with us here in 2025? Verse 5 says, Oh, my people, remember now what Balak, king of Moab, consulted, and what Balaam, the son of Beor, answered him from Shittim unto Gilgal, that ye may know the righteousness of the Lord.
Ibuksheni ifyo infumu Balaki wa kumoabu aipwishe ero kabili nefyo Balamu mwana wakwa Boa aswike ukuwa kufuma kushitimu kuya ku Yogo
Gilgal.
Pakweba timwe mwishibe ubulungami bwa lesa.
So this is our concern.
Nomba apa epali chiri pwecho tufilo kulanda po.
When the Lord says remember, important. Remember the Sabbath day. Because the Lord knew that somehow we would have forgotten the Sabbath. So what is it in this discussion between Balaam and Balak that God is here saying you must remember what Balaam said to Balak? So now we'll have to go and find out. So we're going to go back in history. So we are down here in Numbers 22. trying to get a history of this situation.
befa tuishi befya kitike.
And the children of Israel set towards and pitched in the plains of Moab on this side of Jordan
Ero
by
kabiri
Jericho.
ero abana bakwa Israeli baleya kuntanshi babika n'amatenti yabo mu Moabu kulubali lwa Jordan omwo muli mu Jericho.
Now who knows what Moab? Who is Moab? What is Moab?
Kushe ama ba Moabu ni banani? Nangula ama Moabites ni banani? Banani abenga twebako.
It's important to know what Moab represents.
Chikankala sana okuishi ba Moabu ni nani?
Well, we know that when Lot went down into Sodom and Gomorrah,
Iyo Loti afumine mu Sodoma na Gomora,
there was a fire, right?
mwali omuliro.
The angel of the Lord came and said, I'm going to destroy Moab. I mean, Sodom. Destroy Sodom.
Aiso kweba ndefu oko naola Sodoma.
And Abraham was pleading, if there's even 5, even 10, spirit.
Ero kabidi Abraham alepa patira kwa abantu ba Sodoma na Gomora kushenga muri abali 5, muri abali 10, muba muberere mwibona ola.
But the story behind this is
Lero idi ashikunuma ya ichi.
Abraham and Lot went down to the land that God promised them.
Idi ashiria kweba ate Abraham na Lot balire kunchende kolesa abalayi.
And they said that both of them, their flock gets so large that they decide to divide.
Ero kabikwa sango kweba ati namashabo nangule fite kwa fyali ifulisha ero kubakwato kwa kanikana.
So Abraham said to Lot,
Ero kabili Abraham atire kuli Lot.
you decide where you want to go, and where you don't want to go, I'll go. You take the first choice.
Sala we mwine ko lefa yo kuyanga wayo kwine nalayo we mwine wisalire Abraham kweba Lot.
So Lot went down to Sodom,
Elo Lot aile ku Sodom.
fertile valley.
Elo kabili
Abraham said, I'll take the mountains.
elo Abraham alando ko ati nala mumpiri.
And Sodom and Gomorrah,
Na mwishi wa Sodoma na Gomora
bad reputation.
bali kwete ko mubelo obi.
The Lord had to burn it up.
Elo kabili lesali kwato kubona ula.
So the angel came
Elo malaika alishire
and instructed Abraham.
nokwisa londo nokwisa eba Abraham.
Finally, the angel went down to Sodom,
Elo kabili malaika aya mu kulia ku Sodom
met with Lot,
bakumana na Loti
and said, you need to leave.
ukweba tufule wafumamo.
And when you leave with your family, don't look back. And we know the story. So Lot, the wife, and the 2 girls left, and then fire starts. And his wife looked back, became a pillar of salt. So now Lot is there with 2 daughters. And the daughter says, how are you going to preserve your lineage, because we have no son, no brothers. Like in Africa here, a son is very important to you, right? Women always want to have a son. So the story goes that these 2 daughters, they gave Lot alcoholic drinks and making drunk. And then they lied with him. And they had 2 babies. 2 boys. Ammon and Moab. So we refer to Moabites. They are really cousins. The Moabites, the Ammonites. So now the children of Israel leaving Egypt, and they're trying to go back home. Every city they pass, they destroy them. So they're about to meet the Moabite group, and they are nervous. So now trouble is at the door. So I'm going to read more. And Balak the son of Zippor,
mwana wa kwa Zipo,
saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites,
alimona vyose vyabe na Israeli bachitire kumamona
and Moab was so afraid of the people,
ero kabiri na Moabu ali kwato okutina sana
because they were many,
bantu bali abengi,
and Moab was distressed
ero kabiri Moabu ali kwato omwenso
because of the children of Israel.
mulandu waba baletina bana bakwa Israeli.
And Moab said unto the elders of Midian, Now shall this company lick up all that are around about us, as an ox lick up the grass of the field?
Ero nomba Moabu alandire kubakwalamba ukweba tibushaba abantu bala kwato kutulya fyo kutona ula fenga firafine fye ifitekwa nangule ng'ombe fyona ula firya urchani.
So this king now says, verse 5, Numbers 22, verse 5.
Numbers 22, impendwa 22, verse 5.
He sent messengers therefore unto Balaam the son of Beor to Pethor, which is by the river of the land of the children of his people, to call him, saying, Come, pardon me, behold, there is a people come out from Egypt. Behold, they cover the face of the earth, and they abide over against me.
Ero kabiri infumu yatuma insebo kuri Balamu mwana wakwa Boa ukuri kupitho ukwebati isa kuno mona abana bakwa Israeli nabesa nomba balefo okutita ataki nabesa kare kwebati bese batwipa ena ifwe.
So Balak is now looking help.
Nomba Balaki infumu ilefu anombo bwafirisho.
So he sent for Balaam.
Ero bali tuma kwebati bepushe Balaam. 6
says, Come now therefore, I pray thee, curse me this people, for they are too mighty for me. Peradventure I shall prevail, and we may smite them, and that I may drive them out of the land. For I what? That he whom thou cursest is blessed. Pardon me, thou blessest is blessed, and he whom thou cursest is cursed.
Isa kabidi isa umpepere ababantu bona ike pantu iwe ebo wapala balapalwa kabidi ebo watipa balatipwa.
So this is the plan.
Nomba uwe wanshiko nangule plan bapani. Balamu,
you heard that any man you curse, they will curse. Come and curse these Israelites.
So he said Israeli.
Because there are too many. But the Lord had instructed the children of Israel, don't destroy the Moabites because they are your cousin. The Moabites, they thought Israel was going to destroy them like they did with the other cities before. But they didn't know that Israel had a command from the Lord not to trouble them. So they are afraid. So the next verse in verse 29.
Verse 9.
Chapter 22, verse 9.
Verse 9, verse chapter 22.
And God spake unto Balaam and said, What men are these with thee? And Balaam said unto God, Balak the son of Zippor, king of Moab, has sent them unto me.
Balaki mwana Zipo infumu ya Moabu abatuma kuri ine.
Saying unto me, he said, Behold, there is a people come out of Egypt, which covereth the face of the earth. So Balaam is now telling the Lord, a message came to me from Balak.
Balaam nombale bale sokwebati imbira nangulense boshafumine kumfumu.
Saying that I must go and curse these people. Then verse 12. And God said unto Balaam, Thou shalt not go with them. Thou shalt not curse the people, for they are blessed. Don't do that.
mwitite ekyo.
But you know, Balaam sent again another message.
Balamu atuma nawe ensebo ku nfumu Balaki.
Please come.
Okwebati Isa.
And I'm going to go down further.
Twala pashi.
Verse 20.
Pa verse 20.
No, verse 19.
Na pa verse 19.
Now therefore I pray you, tarry also here this night, that I may know what the Lord will say unto me more.
Ukwe nalomba okwebati nakupepa okwebati Isa kuno. Wise kuno twishibe efyolesa alanjeba.
So say, wait, let me go and inquire of the Lord.
So no mbalando okwebati na alolela reke ninje njikushe kulilesa.
So the second time.
Nombo muku wa chibiri.
Verse 20.
Verse 20.
And God came unto Balaam at night and said unto him, if the men come to call thee, rise up and go with them. Go with them. But yet the word which I shall say unto thee, that thou shalt do. So finally the Lord said, okay, go. But only what I say you should say. This is the important part. But yet the word which I shall say unto thee, that thou shalt do. The key point is, when the Lord said in Micah, remember what Balaam said to Balak. So we're going to understand here that what Balaam said to Balak was direct from God himself. And that's why God is saying, remember what Balaam said to Balak, because what Balaam said to Balak is what I said. Is that clear? Remember what Balaam said to Balak. And God is here saying to Balaam, the only thing you can say is what I put in your mouth. And that's the key. We're going to move down to verse, we jump over to 23.
Chapter 23 verse 7.
Numbers 23 verse 7.
Numbers 23 verse 7.
And he took up his parable and said, Balak the king of Moab hath brought me from Aram out of the mountains of the east, saying, come, curse me, Jacob, and come defy Israel.
Infumu ya Moabu na isa kuri ine ukufuma ku Alamu ukwisanjebwa ukufuma na kumpiri ukufuma kukabanga nokutira Isa untipireko Jacobo kabiri Isa wona ule Israeli.
So Balaam is not talking.
Apa Balaam no batalelanda.
How shall I curse whom God hath not cursed?
Nomba ushe na latipa umuntu ole satatipire.
Oh, can I defy whom the Lord hath not defied? So Balak is now confronting Balaam. I move down to verse 11.
Chapter 23.
And Balak said unto Balaam, what hast thou done unto me? I took thee to curse mine enemies, and behold, thou hast blessed them again. Altogether, you have blessed them altogether. And he answered and said, must I not take heed to speak speak that which the Lord hath put in my mouth.
Usheteti wine nkwata makaya kwe bati ndande efyo leso mwine abula abika mukanwa kandi.
So Balaam is saying,
Balaam alela
all I can say is what God put into my mouth.
efyo ningalanda fye nifiri efyo lesa ambika mukanwa.
It's a very important story here.
Ni lyashirika nkala sana.
Back up at verse 10.
Twala pa verse 10.
No, let me move down to 12. We read 12 already.
10, 11 kufika na 12.
Okay, 12.
Pa verse 12.
And Balaam said to Balak,
Elo kabili Balaam atile kuri Balaki.
spake I not also to thy messengers which thou hast sent unto me, saying, if Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the command of the Lord to do either good or bad, or of my own mind. But what the Lord saith, that will I speak.
Elo kabili Balaam atile kuri Balaki. Landa kabili wiranda ifikuba kubo watuma okwisa kuri ine. Ukutiro kwebati nangu Balaki mfumu yampere nganda umwaisura God na silver nangu ifisu mefiri fyonse fyanchitira iyi mfumu Balaki. Lelo nsha chitefere satanje biroko chita.
So here is the real issue.
Apa no mberi ashiri ine nili.
So Balaam is saying,
Balaam alela ndokwebati.
I told you messengers to tell you.
Ali baba abatumwi.
I can only speak what God put in my mouth. Now, what is it that he said? So here's the key point of what Balaam said that God wants you to remember in these days. 17:18.
17:18.
And now behold, I go unto my people. Come therefore, and I'll advertise thee what these people shall do to thy people in the latter days. So Balaam was saying, I'm not going to discuss matters right now. Those people down in the valley, I'm not concerned. I am going to discuss here what's going to happen to them in the year 2025. That's what I'm going to discuss. So the Moabites are our people. See, they're the Arabs. Edomites, Ammonites, Moabites, all of these ites. Today they are the Arab nations. So it was a very important prophecy. So God said, I have a problem. I have a controversy with modern day Israel. A controversy. I want to tell all the nations. There's a controversy. And then God tried to identify the problem. He says, remember what Balaam said to Balak. So now we go and find out. And here we find out that Balaam told Balak that in the last days there is going to be a conflict between my church, my people, and the Arab nations. So this prophecy is relevant to what is going on in the Middle East today. Now we have what is called today Israel. Let's get a little background of Israel. Jacob had 12 sons. Jacob had 12 sons. And then later on, after the death of Solomon, 12 tribes divide. 2 tribes called Israel, called Jews. also Judah,
nangula mukowa wa Yuda
and you have the 10 tribes.
ero natukwata emikowa iri 10.
And we know that after the death of Solomon, that the 12 tribes were divided. And then when we had that division, we had Rehoboam control 2 tribes and Jeroboam control 10.
twasanga okwe bati Jeroboamu waletungulula bali abali 10 ero kabiri Rehoboamu waletungulula iri emikowa ibiri.
And because of idolatry, the Lord scattered the 10 tribes.
Ero mulandu wakupepa otulubi lesa ali pasanganya iri emikowa iri 10.
So we call those the 10 lost tribes.
Nomba tuleranda pali balya emikowa iri 10 yakulekeresha.
And the 2 tribes
ero kabiri iri emikowa ibiri
remained in Palestine.
bali shala mu Palestine.
Later on, they were taken captive to Babylon.
ero banabo bali sendwa busha mu Babyloni
70 years.
myaka 70 yapita.
Then they returned back to Israel,
ero babwera futi mu Israeli
rebuilt the temple,
bakula ne tempele
preparation for Christ.
ero kwipita kwa Yesu.
Then Christ came.
ero Yesu aisa
They crucified him.
bali bamutanika
But the Lord had made a prediction
ero lesa ali kwatako okusobela
that there would be a destruction of Jerusalem.
kwe bati kukaba okona ulwa kwa Jerusalem.
And then in AD 70,
mu 70 AD
the Romans came and destroyed Jerusalem
abaloma balishire nokona ula Jerusalem
and scattered the Jews.
ero nokupasanganya abayuda.
So for many years, for almost 2,000 years, the land of Israel was vacated.
Mukupitira mu myaka nda mupepi na 2000 ichende ya Israeli tamwali mwe na Israeli.
And then in 1948,
ero nomba mu mwaka wa 1948
World War II,
mu shita ya nkondo ya after nkondo ya chibiri yapwa
England told the Jews that if they help him in the war, then he will allow them to return to Palestine and reestablish themselves as a nation.
nga baba afwa mu nkondo balalwisha okwe bati nabo bakabwere kulya baketwe okwe bati nabo kyalo palwa bako nacho kyali iminine chine.
So in 1948,
mu mwaka wa 1948
the Jews were permitted
amayuda
to
balisuminishibwa
return to Palestine
okubwerera ku Palestine
and establish themselves.
n'okuyibika kwa bene bayipanga.
But on returning,
nombero babwerere
the land is occupied
kwisasanga enchende nayikalwa mwaba
by the Arabs,
kuba kuli ababe n'amarabs
better known today as the Palestinians.
abebo abo tuleba ilero okuba bati abe na Palestine.
So the Jews pushed all the Palestinians in Gaza Strip.
ero nomba abayuda bafumya bali Palestinians mu Gaza Strip
Because the way they could create a nation down there is to move the Palestinians out.
mukutira nomba bafika kulya bafumyamo fe bala pakwati bekale mu chende yabo.
And that has caused anger among the Arab nations for years.
Icho kyaleeta obukali kuli firi ebyalo by'Amarabu kwa myaka eyingi.
The Jews
Amayuda
are now reading these prophecies
tabaleberenga obwo busesemo
and are saying that they have now returned to their own land.
beera baleerandala ababwera ku mpanga yaabo.
But the point is that the present day Jews
nomba ekiripo ekyo tulolekeshapo kyako bati abamajuda baliko leero
don't look like the Jews that left there 2,000 years ago.
era tabalemoneka ng'amayuda abaliko kule kwa myaka 2000 kunuma.
So what they are now saying is that these Jews that are now returning to Palestine, the Zionist Jews, they are on the converts to the Jewish religion.
Abamajuda abali kulya ate majuda bene awe ni bali abapiribwike fye okupitira mu mipepere y'amajuda.
Because they're thinking that they have no relationship to the real Jew that left.
Tubene kire muneka tapali ubwampano na bali amayuda abakale abafumineko.
They don't believe that a Jew is really a Caucasian man.
What?
A Caucasian is a name for a white man.
Uyibyeshi wibalera ndati Caucasian lishi na lya muntu wabutana ngulo musungu.
Because that's not the way they left
No, firia te
2,000 years ago.
Umyaka yapita kweyo.
Remember, Jacob had 12 sons
Ero mwibukishe Jacob abana abaume abali 12
with 4 women,
wabafumine kubana kashi abali 4.
Leah and Rachel,
Leah na Lecho
and the 2 servants,
ero kabiri n'ababomfi
Zilpha, Bilpha.
Zifa na Vifa.
So don't expect that these 12 children look one way.
Ero kabiri te tumoneko kwe batinga baba na 12 bafumine kwi.
Don't look one way, it's 12 mothers. I mean, 4 mothers. And you know, people have a lot of issues to mention, you know, like, well, Moses lived in Egypt and they thought Moses was Pharaoh's son, and nobody didn't really ask, you know, because Moses looked like Pharaoh, you know.
But Moses ayikere mu Egypt abantu bambire n'okumona kwa bati Moses mwana wa Pharaoh kantu bademoneka kwa bapalanako.
So was Pharaoh looking like a Caucasian?
Ushe Pharaoh na wale moneka nga umusungu.
You know. So it's a big question today.
Kabiri lipushwe likalamba ilelo.
Who is a real Jew?
Umwina Yuda umwinefye.
But these Jews are returning to Palestine are called Zionist Jews.
Nomba bama Yuda babwerere kulya bale itwoko bati ma Zionist Jews.
And they do not believe in Jesus Christ.
Bena bama Yuda tabasumina muri Yesu.
And they believe that they are the chosen one to return and establish themselves.
Bena bale itwoko bati bantu basarwa aba itwoko bati babwele n'okupanga buli obufumu.
And that's a problem.
Apwepa lyo bwafya.
You know, during the David Koresh issue,
David Koreshi,
I was watching CNN News.
CNN News.
And the reporter says, I want to tell you about these Davidians. And first of all, I want to let you know that David Koresh is not a Davidian. And I'm telling you that Davidians do not drink alcohol. And I'm telling you that David Koresh is a drunkard. I want to clarify that point. These Davidians believe in the re-establishment of the Davidic kingdom. That's what these Davidians believe. So the world knows that. A few years ago, we were in Texas, Moody, Texas. You know, we bought a piece of property in Moody, Texas, where most of us live and have farms. But when we bought that property, the general public believed that it was David Koresh who established his headquarters at Moody. So one day, a brother had a minor accident with another man in Moody. And the guy came out of his car. Says, what are you doing here? You should be in Jerusalem. Because this neighbor in the area knew, at least think that those guys up there in Moody are Davidians and they are followers of David Koresh and they want to establish Jerusalem. So he's asking, what are you doing here? You should be in Palestine. So the general public believe that Davidians has a plan to reestablish in Palestine because of the David Koresh issue. If there's no David Koresh issue, nothing like that will be made public. While the standoff was going on in the Jewish city one day, when David Koresh and his followers were in this compound, during that time, news media from all over the world came to wake up. So I went down to this news gathering and said, I'm a Davidian minister. So they were happy, saying, we are Davidian minister. You're the man I want to talk to, man. You're the man I want to talk to. So I met a reporter from Israel. Because I think about two of the branch Davidians that were in the compound, two of them I understand was from Israel. So once you have a citizen in there, you're gonna come. What did you say? Once a citizen is in the compound, the country is gonna send a representative. So I met the one from Israel.
bali kumanya umo watumina okufuma ku Israeli kuisa kuli okwimina Israeli.
He said to me,
Atire kuli
he recorded me,
barekoda.
tell me, what does Davidian mean?
Njebe ni ushe Davidian chipiri bulenshi.
And I gave him a short study
Elo bena bali bapera ko fe sambiro
on the kingdom.
Kingdom.
I know God is going to cause his true people to return to Palestine. All 12 tribes. Not just you two. And I gave him the whole story how we're going to return and establish and take that land. So how can that happen? We are Israel. I mean, how are you, David, come and take over Palestine? I said, don't worry. Return to Israel and report what I just say. That's all. One day you'll find out how we're going to take over that land. Wow. Now, in the time of the crisis they call ISIS. You remember that period of time when ISIS was trying to take over Syria and was expanding? ISIS. They don't want to take over Israel. And all of the area. That's the plan of the ISIS. So I was in England. And I was reading one of the tabloids there in England. I was reading one of the newspapers in England, and there was this topic there about ISIS. And it says, these ISIS people are like the Davidians in Waco, wanting to establish themselves in Palestine. Can you imagine again? It is known over the whole world. The intention of these Davidians. They intend to take over Palestine. The news is out there. So, try to remember now, they are viewing you as ISIS. It's just that you have no guns. But mentally you want to take over Palestine. So it's a known fact. That's what these Davidians have in their minds. So here is the point facing us now. The Jews are returning to possess Palestine. And they are reading the verses that we read. That God is going to cause you to return, rebuild the city, and you're going to plant vineyards and no one can root you up because you're going to feast under your own vine. So all these verses that we read about the establishment of Palestine, these present day Jews are trying to say that they are the ones doing it. They have a very effective irrigation system and the deserts are no blooming. And they are quoting Ezekiel 26. This land is like the Garden of Eden. So that's what's going on. So now we have the nations are saying we need to have two states there. We need to have the Palestinian state and we need to have the Israeli state. So like saying like Australia said yes, 2 states. England, yes, 2 states. France, yes, 2 states. Netanyahu say never. Never, never, never. Problem now. So this issue down there is not going to solve.
nomba ubwaffe obulipo tabwakaso tabwakabe bwino.
But what the prophecy is here saying,
Leero obusesemu efyo bulera ndapa
that we the Davidians
ifwe ba Davidian
are now promoting a doctrine
tatule supporta yimifundire
that one day we the Davidians are now to control Palestine.
kwe batu bushikubumo ifwe ba Davidian tuleya mu kukontrola Palestine.
And that is the issue that is causing the controversy within the Adventist church. There's a controversy in my church about what? About what Balaam said to Balak. And that's what it says. Balaam is here saying to Balak, in the last days, I'm going to tell you what the 144th, in simple language, I'm telling you in the last days what the 144,000 is going to do to possess that same piece of land. So don't worry about the time right now. Back then, worry about what's going to happen in 2025 when the Davidians are going to take over the land. That's what you need to worry over.
Obwafya bulipo byapo bukalamba bwakwe bati Balaki Balamu efe balandire na Balaki yashiri aba 144 efe bakesa chita munshi kushakurekeresha efe ba 144,000 bakesa ikala kuri ku Palestine no kupyana ukira chine cyaro kiri ku Palestine iyi enkondo iri mu kironganiro cy'Yesu.
So we are involved in a very serious study.
So twali mu kisambiriro kimwe ekikankala.
We are involved in a situation here that is going to draw international interest.
Ifyebe tuleberenga fintu fyakoba tichalo no bwino efyo kwabelako okuyasenga iri empanga.
The David Koresh issue is not just a little thing that takes place in Zambia and then that's it. Only Zambia, no one, maybe Angola or maybe Tanzania, that's it. No, the David Koresh issue is known internationally.
David diri ashira ba David Koresh teko bati ni mu Tanzania fe mu Zambia mu Angola mo bayishiba cyalo cyonse abayishiba pali David Koresh yashi.
So though it has a bad reflection,
Nangola nachikwata ko mubelo ubitira muneke ekibi,
it was God's means
yali nishire yakwalesa
to accomplish what we couldn't do.
Ukupwirikisha efo tetukwanishe.
Because right now the issue is simple.
Pali no nshitano mbeli ashina yanguka.
At sessions,
kuma session nangola kuma bungano,
there's a discussion.
Kulabo kulanshanya.
Should we inform the nations of our agenda to possess Palestine? Should we have informed them? So I'm saying, no. You must only go and talk to ladies here. That's it. You know, these are the issues facing us right now. So the Lord just view the situation and say, okay, I'll take care of it. And he allowed David Koresh crisis to arise. And through that, all nations are now aware. Without any Davidians helping. Because if God is dependent on the Davidians, the Gentile nation will never know our plan. I don't know if you ever seen this video. All these news media from all over the world came to Waco. You know, sometimes we may say, should we go on TV with this? Oh, no. Should we go on the radio? Oh, no. But without our planning, the news media came to us. And again, we were at the right place at the right time. Because all those news media was not going to Bashan, they were not going to Mountain Dew, they were not going to Salem. They came to Waco. And we were at Waco at the right time. You know, David Koresh made a big issue about the 7 seals, you know. And one day, CBS News, crew, cameras and everything, they came to Waco. They said, David Koresh make a big issue on the 7 seals, so we want you to give us a study on the 7 seals.
David Koresh alipera pamasiuzi pangule fika kakati kwa F7 na imwe pele ni fisambiro pali fifi nefika kakati kwa F7.
Well, I happened to be there.
Ba eko bali
We called Mountain Dale. Say, Mountain Dale, come. News media from all over the world are down here, man. Come and talk to them.
olo bali itawa Mountain Dale kwa tiseni kuno na imwe mufe ko mulande na bena.
No.
Bali kana awe.
Anyway, the news media came.
Ichinga chako batawa sabankanye mbila bali.
And they set up all their cameras and everything.
Bali vika na makamera yabo.
So now give us a study on the 7 seals.
Tupele ni kisambiriro pamasiuzi ya 7 na ngule fika kakati kwa F7.
So I decided to get the study.
Bali sumino ko batubapele kisambiriro.
But the reporter didn't like my accent.
Nomba ba reporter accent na ngule milandile yabo taba itenenwe sana.
She was afraid that if she broadcast what I say, people may not understand what I'm saying.
Undabafayo kwe batu balande tabale umfikishe fa barelanda.
So she should give me the book. Give me the book.
Elo nomba ba reporter balaba news bana fa mpenisha akabuku.
And brethren,
Bamunina.
in the evening, 6 o'clock news,
Muchungulo imbira ya news ya 6 o'clock.
the TV screen,
Pa TV pa tush.
the 7 seals picture, dividend chart.
Chiatire ya 7 seals.
And the woman
Elo kabiri no mwana kashi.
read straight from the book
Uwa berengero kufuma muka buku kalanda pali 7
the
seals.
explanation of the 7 seals.
Amba kulondolola pali 7 seals.
CBS.
Ku news ya ba CBS.
That's $1 million advertisement for not 1 penny.
Uko chali ngiro ko batinga chali ni fu okuyashimikiranga twali bonfi ama million zayengi lero kwabula okulipira pona wanu kwacha batimbira yakitashani bayaya bikwa pa chitunshi.
And then at the end,
Lero pakulekeresha
you say if you want this book,
nga mulefu ayeri book
go to 2500 Mount Carmel Drive, Waco, Texas.
ulya wale shimika news pa TV nga mulefu ayeri book muka pa 2500 kuwako Texas ku headquarters yesu Mount Carmel.
So this is the good side of the issue that nobody seems to know about.
Ubu ebusuma bwali ashi ubo abe ngita beshibe bwino.
So in the morning,
Muluchelo
a knock on the door.
waliwo kukonkonsha pamwishi.
The professor from Baylor University, the biggest Baptist university in America, is in Waco.
Big university kalambe ya bela yaba mu wako no professor ewa ishire konkonsha pamwishi wabo.
So the professor said, I saw this thing on TV last night.
Nali monefi pa TV ubushuku bwapita.
And we want the book 7 seals to put in our library.
Tulefa ya ili book 7 seals libe mu library yesu mulomba basungira mabook.
See? Big promotion going on now.
Nomba mulemona promotion nomba ile ya pamuru bale kwereka.
Then later on, the head of the FBI or the ATF, let's say ATF, you may not understand what it is, or ATF, FBI, whatever, at the door, says, we want the book of the 7 seals because we may be able to better understand how David Koresh think. So give us that book.
So ba FBI na ba ATF na ngulate tuwe ifichibe but balisa konkonsha bwino ko ise ngete ni na tupereni tusambirire bwino tumone efyo David Koresh alefunda parwa 7 seals kulingana na eri book na imwe mukwete tumone obupusano ngapali ubupusano.
Many more people
Ana abantu nabambi abengi
came because we were advertised.
bali sabantu bali chibika bali chishitisho ko bati bonse bachimone.
But most interesting,
Nomba chali emfisha bwe
later today,
ulobushuku bwapo
2 Catholic priests,
bakatolika bafather bashima pepo baisa
we are here to collect the book on the 7 seals.
twaisa mukusende book ili kwete fika kati kwa 7
Book with the 7 seals is going to the Vatican.
kama book yali ama 7 seals yali ya kuli bakatolika ku Vatican.
This is a side that most of us don't understand.
Uluelu bali elu abengi ifwe katumfikisha.
The Lord knows how to do his business.
Lesa alishiba ifya kutito mulimo wakwe.
If the Lord tells you to cut down this tree, you won't do it, he'll find a way to cut it down.
Nga lesa landa tiputule ni chichi mutimwaka no kuchichita alafa yenshire ala chiputwira momwe.
So the Davidians are scared.
Ifwe ba Davidian tulina bacha mwenso tulino mwenso.
They're afraid to promote the message.
Tuetina okutwala embira kuntanshi.
And this is an issue we're facing right now.
Iri eri ashero tulelekesha apwe bwafya bulipo bali ino shita.
At the session we were discussing, should we put something together and speak to Assyria?
kushe kutukwe twavika kufimo pamo tulande kuli Asiria.
Oh, no.
Awe.
You want the FBI to be at your door?
Mwekwa ba FBI bese bamitandalile.
Well, you see, you're not ready for Jacob, shall we get? You're not ready.
Nomba ne mukutira natulaite kanyo kuchula kwa Jacob.
If God is saying what God is saying the Assyrians what to do, and you are trying to prevent the Assyrians from coming to your door, then you're not ready for this business.
Ngachakwa bati mulekanya ba Asiria okuisa. Ukwa bati beisa pamwishe mukutira tamulaite kanya okupitira mu machushe yo Jacob apitiremo.
Not ready.
Tatulaite kanya.
And that's our problem.
Yubo bwafya tukwete.
People are afraid even to go to church and give it a try. They are afraid for the pastor.
Tuletina bakakumba okutwala fyo okutwala akabuku kucheche awe tulino omwenso.
Afraid.
Tulino omwenso.
But the Lord is here saying we have to raise our voice, and the mountains and hills hear that there's a controversy in Israel, and the controversy is about the establishment of God, David's kingdom. That's the controversy.
Lero lesa lela ndoko batinyeni amashinda mashiyenu muchironganino mubebi abantu ukwebatilesa nakwato ubwafya nangula kankofyo nabantu bakwe nakaka nkofyo kalefu mapaliashi ili akubako kwa bufumu kulia ku Palestine.
So that is the situation when the Lord is saying, remember what Balaam said to Balak.
Ifyenga imbira yakwa lesa yalando kwati bukishe nefyo Balaam alandile kuli Balak.
So it is now our duty to make it known to the church and to the world what God's plan is that the Davidians will conquer Palestine. Although Netanyahu want it, that land belongs to the Davidians.
Apano mba tufure tuwaive chironganino tuwaiva nechalo nangu Netanyahu alefwaya tubafure baishiwa kwa tuwa Davidian neva kapitiana chige chalo.
But we're not going down there with guns and missiles to take the land.
Usu mafe bulipo nangulo upusano kwa kwa tifata tule ya kulia nefianso ukuya mukupoka ili mpanga awe.
So I'm going to move on a little bit,
Walaenda kopa nono
because most of this you may already know.
mlandu wako bati fimbifi ashala mwalishiba.
I'm going to go to Jeremiah 23 verse 5.
Walabelenga Jeremiah
Prosper and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth.
kabili mfumu ikateka kabili mfumu ikaleta no upingushi pachalo.
In this day Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely, and this is his name whereby he shall be called the Lord of righteousness.
Mushi kushakwe Juda na Israeli abakupusushiwa kabili bakekala mumutende mu Israeli ero kabili akala itwa ishina ile itwa kwebati lesa ubulungami bwesu.
So these verses are referring to Jesus.
Ayama ivesi ilelo lesha kuli Yesu.
So Jeremiah is saying a day is coming when this righteous branch shall arise, which is Jesus Christ, and in his day, when he comes, Judah shall be saved and Israel dwell safely.
Mukutila lesa palela ndokwe bati branch nangulo musambo yule ima ni Yesu muine wa musambo wa bulungami.
So these are the verses that the disciples were looking at.
So ema vesi ero ewa yabasambi balero leshapo.
So during the 40 days,
mukupita muri ishiryenshi kufote
they were discussing these prophecies.
balero ndapali ubu busesemo.
So finally, I would imagine it was Peter.
Nomba mukulekeresha Peter,
Lord,
aipusha.
are you now going to fulfill Jeremiah 23, 5 and 6?
Chimono kwa bati Peter aipuishe foko bati bushe Jeremia 5 na 6 mule yala fikirishiwa nomba hapa.
That's the question they were asking.
Eli ipusho ilo bale ipusha.
And Jesus said, it is not for you to know the time.
Lero Yesu adi abasukyo kwa bati techeno kuishive nshita.
The time has not arrived.
Nshita taila afika.
And Northern Israel do not want to hear anything about it.
Elo abena Israeli balero file fironga imeko tufumine tabale fwayo kuli umferi bya shira kwa tikulukuya ku Palestine.
Some years ago, we were in Florida.
Myaka yapitako kunuma bali ku Florida.
And some Davidians begin to accept, some brothers begin to accept the message.
Ba munyina bali ambira okusambirira kwembira.
So the pastor said, after lunch, come back, I'm going to discuss these Davidians.
Ngawe apita lunch mubwele twefa tuse mukulanshanya bali fifi aba Davidian.
So we decided to gather all the Davidians they could.
Ero nomba kwali bokuyukungana pamo ba Davidian.
And came to the meeting.
Ero nokuya kuchikumanino.
There was more Davidians there than his member.
Ero nomba muli akanshita bayi mwali ama Davidian abe njukukira abantu bakira ama member bakirongana.
So he said, brethren,
Sero batire bamunyina.
We have some brethren here who want to go to Palestine.
Natukwata bamunyina muno abalefu okuya ku Palestine.
And when he said that, the Davidians shout, Amen!
Ero balanda filero ba Davidian ba shout na chibezo fine.
He was shocked.
Ero no baba.
He thought it was 2 or 3 Davidians there.
Ba mwene kwati ni bimwa mwisho ba Davidian babiri nango batatu.
More Davidians than his member.
Kusasa ngati ba Davidian bengi kuchira member ya chirongani.
Brethren, we have some believers here talking about 144,000 being sealed.
Natukwata bamunyina muno bale ndapali ba 144,000 na sealing.
And the rest of us will be slaughtered.
Ero kabiri fwe bashaka bepali ba 144 pa yiwa.
The Davidians say, Amen!
Ba Davidian batire na chibezo fine.
He is confused. Where is amen coming from?
No bali furungana. No pe uyi amen ile fumakwi.
But the key point is that we need to promote the message. Don't be afraid of them. Any church giving a problem, organize. 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 of you. Go to the same church and say, but they say sometimes they think it's just 1 or 2 you know, having no sense, 1 or 2. So when the pastor making up noise, gather 100 of you and just go there outnumber it. Yeah, outnumber him. What? You know, I was at a church and we flooded. The pastor says, "Brethren, we have some shepherds right inside here." You in they love to do this. You in the green shirt, stand up. You in the white shirt, up. Okay, then one member say, "Pastor, 1 day too. The poor pastor want to faint. You know, show your force. Let them realize this is not a one-man band. There's not 2 idiots from Kabwe in this thing. This is a big movement that many members are listening to. You know, don't be afraid. We are called to talk to the church. We are called to talk to the government and all these things. I'm going to give you an experience. I say it a few times, but maybe I say it again. Just to give you an idea of what is ahead of us. So I have a machine we call the zapper, right? To apply electrical frequency to your body. It has 2 cover pipe that goes to the machine. So I am now at the airport in Florida. And they scan, because it is in my check-in luggage, right? Check-in. But even though you're checking your luggage, they pass it through X-ray, you know, they still look on it. Anything suspicious, they open the bag and examine it. So they examine my, when they saw in the X-ray the 2 pipes, they thought it was 2 sticks of dynamite. That's their interpretation. So I'm about to go into the plane, and I saw a whole bunch of policemen came in Florida. And an announcement is made. Is Norman Archer here? So yeah, they came and they took me. And it was at a time when America was invading Iraq.
Ni panchitepo America yale sansa Iraki.
So they took me.
Baba senda.
And they said, tell us what is in your luggage.
Twebe ni ifiri mu fipefieno.
So I explained, I have my chart, I have my clothes, medicine, and a device is in there too that I use for medical purpose.
Elo kabiri balando ko ni kwata chati ni kwata mu emiti ni kwata mu na chimo ichire ichibomba kufya bunda pishi wabumi wamu.
Okay. Now we have a question for you.
Nomala tukwateri.
Are you against the war in Iraq?
Ushe imwe muriku mulesa potenko ndo ya mu Iraki nanguyo.
Are you against weapons of mass destruction?
Rangu muna butamule fire uko naika kukalamba nangu chirishani.
What do I have to do with my luggage?
Nomba iliyo pushero yamba na shani ne fipefa bakwete.
But although I'm saying that in their mind, I have a bomb in my luggage.
Vena ba mwene okwebati na bakwata bomu muri ya mulageji.
So they close down the airport.
Bali sala airport.
And they bring in the bomb squad.
Ero nomba baleta bali amasoja balolekesha.
They are still convinced a bomb is in my luggage.
Vena bachirifi okwebati muri fifi pefi kwete baacha I bomu emodidium.
So they take me down to where the plane is.
Baba senda nomba kulyo kwa lindeke.
And they put me into a police car.
Ero baba bika na muri motoka ya bakapokola.
One police on my left, one police on my right.
Bambi kukulyo, bambi kukuso.
For a short while,
mukashtaka nono.
I was a terrorist of no minata.
Ba mwene kwati ni bali abasansa abantu.
So they call in the immigration.
Ero baitana ba immigration barabaloleshefi abantu bendo okufuma mu kyalo kwa mu kyalo.
Check him out.
Checking in.
Okay, immigration came back and say, he look okay as far as immigration and paperwork. He's all right. Then they take me and call the FBI. And they carry me inside the airport to the security office. And 3 men, 3 FBI agents, 2 white, 1 black, and the black one interviewing me. Are you against the war in Iraq? No, sir. Are you against weapons of mass destruction? Oh yes, sir. I'm against weapons of mass destruction. Yes. I can't say no at that time. So I say yes, sir. So what would you do? Well, I would go to Iraq and I would bomb up every facility down there that make weapons of mass destruction. See, I'm speaking what they want to hear. Because I don't think it's time for the decree, you know. And I said, I will not occupy Iraq though. I'll go there and I'll blow up all the facilities of mass destruction, but I will not occupy the country. Who told you we want to occupy the country? I said, well, you know, you have to stay there. You can't just bomb and go. You have to stay. Then the white guy, tell me, brother, are you against the war in Iraq? The black guy says, haven't you asked the question already? The immigration. When they are interviewing you, they ask you one question 10 times. Because if you are lying, you cannot answer the question same way. Say, no. You are a Davidian. See your book here?
Moneni book lero.
Yeah, you have a book.
Nakwata
Davidian Seventh-day Adventist Waco, Texas. You are a follower of David Koresh.
balando ko bati mwe mo ba Davidian pa wako Texas so mukonka David Koresh.
How much gun you have? How much gun do you have?
Ero bawe kushati mukwete mfuti shinga.
I have no gun.
Awele shikwete mfuti.
Davidians don't believe in violence.
Ba Davidian tabasumina mukona ula.
But to him, a Davidian is a follower of David Koresh, right?
Be kuri na Davidian ni uri okonka David Koresh ubo mfyefianso.
And David Koresh did have a whole bunch of guns.
Ero na David Koresh ari kwete umwina wa mfuti.
Which church? You know?
Chungani no.
Now, what I'm trying to say here is that here is an issue.
Echo balesho okulanda papa ili ashiri hapa.
And then coming to the point to interview you whether or not you are against the war in Iraq.
Bela balesha okweba bushe imwe muri muiminine pesa nenkondo ya mu Iraq. Mule supporta na kumulekanya.
Don't we teach that there's going to be a further war and we're going to go there and say not a confederacy, not a confederacy? Don't we believe that? So that is what is in front of us. What are we going to do when there's this war break out and we believe that this is the war, Zechariah 14? What are we going to do? Keep quiet? Keep quiet? So here's where God is going to find out who is the true Davidian, because the true Davidian will stand up and say that I don't care if I'm put into the fire furnace, but I'm not bowing. How many Davidians are at that point to say, put me in the fire because I'm not bowing to that image? So that is the real test ahead of us. Lord, just allow me to get a little taste of it. Of what the future will be. Whether you're going to bow or you're going to stand up. But that situation, I actually took a neutral position. But it made me aware that one day we are going to be interviewed because of our relationship with the war. Are we going to be out there saying the Confederacy? Are we going to go there and say, America, America, you are Syria, you're going to fall. You should not confederate with Israel to fight the Palestinians. Because these days, if you should do that, even in the colleges we see people there protesting against America and the Palestinians, and we send them back home. Go back to your country, see all that going on, right?
America muyampana pamo na Israel kuruishanya ababalungwana bantu ifiriko nomba apa ba America balefo kwati bampane pamo baruishe nomba bali abali muri amugaza bakwati third world war ibe konomba tukabakanya okwebati kwiba Syrian Confederacy nangulo kubombera pamo tukakwanisha.
So this is the critical situation we're facing. Are we Davidians ready to stand up and say ye not a confederacy? For God is with us. That is the issue. We'll take a break if there is a question.
Wala imini na kopa nono kuliko hapa kweteko ili pusho.
We have a hand over there. We're not hearing you. Come forward.
Come forward.
Oh, I'll stay there but talk loud.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is quite a number of issues have been raised here, and we appreciate the lesson. There is one point of interest where the minister said maybe 5 or 10 or 20 or 50 people. You can gather in numbers and go to a church.
mwabungana mu bwingero mwayapa chilonganino.
I think that one as Zambians, we know what it means.
Ero nga bena Zambia filialishi na mwishwaro befile chitika.
I think that's a point of interest that I want to bring to the attention of the group.
Eko balefu okwe bati balete banga bacheya balande po.
That really is quite a challenge here.
Ati chintu icha shupako muno.
Because in Zambia we don't have rights.
Muno mu Zambia
No rights.
Yes, in America it's different and you are well protected. You have all the rights.
Ku America abanesu bena bali chingirirwa lomba muno kuti bamitira na.
So even amidst such,
Nomba nangu pakati ka hivyo.
where we don't even gather in numbers 10, 50s to go to a church.
Iyo tatulevu kumana mu bwingi abali 10 50 okuya ku chilonganino.
But through the simple means that people are doing now,
Kubonfye nshira fyesha angu kesho abantu bale
we are
chitapano.
seeing the message expanding.
Tulemo nembira ile ya kuntanshi.
So really it's about rights.
Well, each country, I guess, have their different approach.
Yes, different approach. So here in Zambia, our approach, we should not lose focus of our approach.
Muno mu Zambia tufuna okukusa efyo tufetwero kishapo.
We just keep on multiplying all the tactics. But the tactic of where you flood a church,
No tulabonfye nshira shimbi nomba uyinshira yako bati mwayake mu bwingi ku chilonganino.
let's mind over our rights as well.
Na tuleke shipansa mbushire sina kazi.
So you're saying if you should do that, they call the police and get rid of all of you?
For sure.
For sure.
Yes, and we are also protecting the message.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you must know what experience you're having.
Yes.
All right. Any other issue, concern? Well, my question. Okay, we have one in the back. Yeah, come.
Just want to ask about the issue of confederacy. Yes, because there is a certain symbolic code where I read which says it's like the confederacy, it's considered to the war. So now, when the symbolic code says the confederacy that we are studying this afternoon
Yeah.
commences when the nations are getting themselves for war.
Yes.
Now, the question is, what is this confederacy? For us to oppose it, we need to know the nature of the confederacy.
Right.
Some say, no, it is when they shall call, people to go for war. Others say different things, but when you study it, you find that the confederacy, it is something else apart from telling the people to go for war.
Okay. It is you see, it started out by saying there was a confederacy when Israel tried to unite with Syria.
Kulabako bwafya ilo kwaliko chinkofyonkofyero Israeli ya bombere pamo na Syria.
To fight Judah. Remember that?
Kuruisha munyina Judah.
So with a confederacy, it means nations are confederating, joining together. And then it mentions says they are going to blocks. You have the Western bloc, the Eastern bloc. That is a confederacy.
For confederacy fyalo fya kuisa pamo fyaisa pamo kwikatana pano. Ero fyakanika mufipini fya fibiri.
And we see that going on today.
Na tumone fifire chitikerero.
So the point from our angle is that we're going to tell our brethren, do not join that confederacy because they may think it's a good thing.
Bena tukeba ba munyine fo mwijoina ko kulya mwikwata moru bali. Pantu bena bakamona kwati chintu kisuma.
See? They think it's a good thing, and that's why I say it's going to be a trap for them. But it does not involve us at the beginning. It is the nations doing their thing. Okay, let's say we have NATO. What is NATO? So NATO is a confederacy. With Germany, England, France. Spain. See, the confederacy called NATO. They are confederating to protect themselves from Russia. Plus America and Canada, that's NATO. And they say, if you touch one, you touch all. Now, Ukraine is not a part of NATO.
Ukraine tayaba lubalirwa ku NATO.
Well, Ukraine is now proposing to join NATO.
Ukraine tailelando gwe bati yala join NATO.
And Russia is saying, since Ukraine joined me,
Wenga Ukraine nga wa joina,
if you become NATO,
nga waba NATO,
then America will be at my foot door, at the step of my door.
iwe NATO, iwe Ukraine nga wa joina ba NATO misha America yala bache mtepi na ine.
So before you join NATO,
So iwe taula joina NATO,
I destroy you.
nalako naula.
And that's what's going on.
Inkondo ili ku
Okay,
Ukraine.
thank you, Minister. Now, are we saying, because if you read that symbolical code, it's like it's saying this confederacy commences after sin. Am I right?
Okay. So the point, the paragraph you're referring to. So before that, it says, there are going to be 3 calls for unity.
Kukabo kuitwa kwa kuba pamo.
You mentioned League of Nations, United Nations.
United
It
Nations.
says, and if there should be another one that involves Judah.
Bakuli mbifutile bika mo Juda.
Okay? So the point is, they are doing their thing, but one day it will involve you.
Bibalete fintu fyabo batu ushikubumo finemwe wene mbuka ibimba.
The symbolic code is not referring to what they are doing because you can't stop them. The question is, sometime down the end when actually the ceiling is over, but you don't know. You don't know. But they're going to challenge you now. You're going to join them, you're going to die. So that point has been a big issue all the time. Why do we say the conferences are the ceiling? Because the Confederacy is supposed to be going on way before, because it says there's going to be a gigantic war, and then it says in the middle of the war, Ezekiel 9 take place. So this war is not a short war. Commonwealth Part says it is a whirlwind, a long war. So the war is going on until it's going to evolve everybody. So it doesn't reach that point yet, because the ceiling is not over yet. The nations are what? Preparing themselves for war.
Apatu wasango kwe. Ifyalo kire ungano kwa tisiyambi okulwa. Ne inkondo kulingana nefe nachirawo kwa. Inkondo yakashitaka tarite ifyawo. Nomba luli ifyalo filelwa. Panshita imo kesa sangwa dinaifwe bene twayibimbamo. Pantweze ke online kesa chitikira munkondo ilya ine nishifyalo na fyamba kaleze ke online taila bako. Nomba mukatika nkondo libe taila kwa but nishina yamba. Elweze ke online weka chitashani ikachitika.
So when it says the Confederacy is after Ezekiel, is after the ceiling, see, that point is pointing to the time when you, the Davidian, is either Confederate or die. But the nations are doing their thing long before that. It's just the point of test now for you. You're going to join them too?
I
don't know if that helps.
Yeah, it has helped. But how far? How close are we? How close are we, considering the signs of the times, the way things are happening in the Middle East?
I think it's very, very close. Very, very close. Because now we have Russia want to join up with China, with Brazil, and then South Africa seems to get itself mixed up into it too.
Masanga tubalasha, China, Brazil,
Yeah.
na South Africa no bale foku ibimba.
They call it the BRICS, right?
Bale ita ni BRICS.
So they say, you know what? Let's get together, man, and let us throw away the US dollar.
Bale itwayo kweba tuikatane pamo ichakubalira po tufumiyeko US dollar.
So it's right there.
Eko fidi.
You know, everything. The only thing that is delaying matters right now is that where are the Davidians to come to the front and have something to say? They are hiding.
Enomba chefa ikanifwevo kuya kuntanchi no kubeba. Nomba obwafya tulefisama tuli no mwenso.
You know, so the question is it close by? It is very, very close.
Ili pucha kwa tuche tuli mupepi sana.
Very, very, very close.
Mupepi sana fye.
So all of these things are happening, hoping the Davidians can catch a vision and get together, prepare for the matter.
So if John's fire tranga for what Davidian prepekanye tule pamo no kuya kuliriashi.
I mean, like last session, I was promoting a document to give to Assyria to help them understand about the war, and they vote about it, and they say, no, we ain't going to get involved. We have only a mission to the church. We're not going to go mix up with Assyria. And that was it.
Baminisita balyesesha okupangako olupapula lwago batutwale kuli Assyria ekyalo kishibe efyo tuletontonkanya ffe nga Badavidian kufire isa kontanshi ku session baliika naawe awe iyo enshira yo.
So now we're going to have a ministerial meeting in another 2 weeks.
Twalikweteko meeting y'aba ministerial 2 weeks yapita.
And somebody put it there again.
Bambi futi bali kibikamo.
What are we going to say to Assyria?
Fishe ffe twalalanda kuli Assyria.
Is it time?
Nishta.
So what they're now saying presently,
Effe balelanda nomba pali nonshta.
we are not going to discuss whether or not we are going to talk to Assyria. What we're going to discuss this time is what are we going to say to Assyria? What if we should? What are we going to say?
Pali nonshta nomba tufule twayishiba fishe ffe twalaya eba Assyria.
So that is on the floor right now.
Ifi efilipo nomba pali nonshta.
Okay. Another question? Okay, remember in 14 track says, Ezekiel 9 takes place in the middle of a gigantic war.
Muri tract 14 lando kwa Ezekiel 9 ikaba mukati kankondo yine.
Okay, so the war is what is going to pave the way first to get into our right minds. Because see, if there's no issue going around, you're just taking care of your normal business. But when it's a crisis, you get together, right? So it is during the war that we are going to promote the message. And it's during the war that most people begin to believe it because it begins to make sense.
Ni munshita yankondo ro tukalalanda na pambira sana. Pali lyanshita nomba fika panga sensi fika panga mano.
See, all these years they're saying the dividends, talking about war. But now, I mean, in a lot of time when you were saying all these things, nothing was going on. I mean, today, clear as crystal. It's there. Everything is right there in front of us.
Pali nonshita leo baote fubali ponga balanda pankondo atiyo Badavidian balasaba ila feta kuli nenkondo. No pali nonshita. Tule mwena na fwebe nenkondo ele chitika pachano.
So everything is clear to us now.
So if you fiance, Philippi papa buta.
The world knows what Davidian mean. They know our agenda.
Ba charo chali shiba Badavidian ni banani.
We plan to occupy Palestine, but we're not going to use guns. According to Zechariah 14, there's going to be a world war centered in Palestine. And in this war, it says Jerusalem shall be taken. But the Israelis don't think that can happen because they have America supporting them. So there's no way America can fail. But history shows every nation that goes up come down one day. So President Trump is trying to make sure that America will always be the superpower. And China has a different plan. I don't want the gun. I'm going to use economy and get my foot in the door of all these nations. I'm going to make them some roads, lend them some money, and that's my strategy. I won't use guns. And America is afraid now. Because all they use is guns. But they're realizing that China is smarter than them. So right now we have Venezuela, next door to America, and China is supplying them with funds and guns. So America moved her army right down beside Venezuela. We live in a serious time. You know, it is just that when the Lord says, hold the winds a little longer, because the saints are not seen. That's all.
ulya malaika balera ndajawo ikatenimira first paka abantu bakakatikwe ichiminike chikakatiko.
The nations are ready to explode.
Bena ichafyalo fyena nafipekanya.
But when God look, raise the saints, we 144,000. Can't find them.
Sangalo leshadwa nani 144 bale manini.
All right, we'll stop at that point and then we'll have the question and answer period.
Twayiminina pano abakweta amepusho aya lyonse timayipusha.
There are any who have written something as the other question. Any that have written something, ask those papers in front.